Yeah, 360. Yeah, I'm like round and round and round we go. And where we stop, I'm like nobody knows. 360 degrees, 360 degrees. We give you what you want, we give you what you need. 360 degrees, 360 degrees. We tell the real truth, you know what I mean? This the breakdown, 360 degrees. We give you what you want, we give you what you need. We talking politics and news and music reviews, as well as rap and TV. You know how we do, and music from some artists you never heard of. But when you hear them, you gon' show them some love. 360 degrees, 360 degrees. We give you what you want, we give you what you need.
Hello and welcome to another episode of 360 Degrees, a program brought to you by The Urban Breakdown under the umbrella of Eclectic Media. Today's date, 9/2/2017, that's September 2nd, 2017, and this is the Week in Review, courtesy of 360 Degrees of The Urban Breakdown. But first, one quick commercial break. That is not the thing I said I was going to use, is it? And we're back. Hey, Merk, what you got?
All right. Well, we're going to start with, this time we'll start with Labor Day.
Okay.
You know, Labor Day is, of course, this Monday, and it's not usually a misunderstood holiday, but depending on where you are, it may just be. Because you figure, I'm from Long Island, right? And for us in Long Island, we go back to school, and you know, I'm from Nassau County. We go back to school the day after Labor Day. So a lot of people consider Labor Day to be the end of summer.
Okay.
So we know when it's Labor Day, they figure, all right, last day of summer, let's get in the fall. Right? But Labor Day is a lot more than that. And I'm not doing this to kind of like shame people, like, you know, when you talk about, oh, you don't know the real meaning of Christmas. It's not like that. But just a gentle reminder of why we actually have Labor Day, you know, and it's basically just very simply to just celebrate American workers. It started in New York in the mid-1800s, and it caught on to a lot of other states, and by the late 1800s, it became a national holiday. So the first Monday in September is Labor Day. Now, not everybody has off on Labor Day. You know, if you work a job, like if you're a cop, fireman, EMT, you don't really get a day off.
Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, Krispy Kreme, you know, food services.
Right.
Like you said, emergency personnel, like hospitals and all that.
Yeah.
Shoot. But most businesses, most Fortune 500s and things like that, yeah, they pretty much got the day off.
Right. And one of the reasons why we have Labor Day is because of labor unions, something that's disappearing very fast in America. And when people think of labor unions, they think of Jimmy Hoffa. And they think of, like, corrupt labor unions. And
yeah, that's all I think
like
about.
That.
I always affiliated in my mind with the mob, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And there are, I mean, and don't get me wrong, if I told you that that part of it didn't exist, I'd be a liar because it's documented. You know? But there are a lot of labor unions that protect workers' rights. So you can't just arbitrarily fire people, you know? And of course, with the whole thing with wages, you remember the whole thing with Hostess, right? Basically, Hostess ran the business into the ground, and the labor unions were trying hard to protect the workers' pensions because they wanted to strip them of their pensions. And whenever something bad happened, right, you had people who basically the labor unions were like, listen, if we gotta take a pay cut to help out if during these tough times, we'll do that, but don't touch the pensions, because that's what these people will need once they retire. You know, it's stuff like, it's protections like that. When you think about unions, people have a misconception of unions like they'll protect bad workers. That is absolutely not true.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not saying every union is great. I'm not going to come out my face and say that. But if you think about back in the days, right, a lot of things that we have now that are standard for working folks is because of unions. And I mean, and simple things that we take for granted, like weekends. We have weekends because of unions. So the 104 vacation days we get a year, if you work a 9-to-5 job, are because of unions. You know, stuff like paid vacation is because of unions. Overtime pay is because of unions. Child labor laws. I'll put it like this. You know, my dad grew up in the West Indies back in the 40s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his dad died when he was only a child. So, you know, they had, you know, he had a whole bunch of brothers, but they had to band in together and work. So you figure, so long as you can hold a cutlass and not cut off your own hand at the wrist, you can get a job cutting bananas.
You know, sounds like a little horror movie. Oh, okay, let's do it.
So, I mean, in America, they had child labor laws. So if you, it probably wasn't uncommon back in the 30s to have a neighborhood where you have like more than one kid on your block with missing fingers because he works in the factory. You know, and because of unions, they have child labor laws. You know, when I was 12, I had to get my working papers in order to have a paper route. So if you were less than 12 years old, you couldn't legally work. And even then, there's only a certain amount of things you could do when you're 12. So we still had paper routes. We could do that. Right. You know, the 40-hour work week is because of unions. Because back in those days, they could just work you as many hours as they wanted to. And if you didn't want to work 16 hours a day, all right, we'll just find somebody else who's willing to do it. One of my favorite jokes, I mean, I'm big into horror movies at this time of the year. And even the old ones, like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I laugh at this every year because I'm just corny like that. But there's a guy, McDougal, he wants them to bring these crates with these horror attractions to his museum after hours. And Costello was like, yeah, well, if you want to do that, you got to pay us overtime because I'm a union man, and a union man works 16 hours a day. Mm-hmm. And McDougal was like, a union man only works 8 hours a day. He says, yeah, but I belong to 2 unions. So that makes me laugh every year when I watch that movie because I'm corny like that. But unemployment insurance, workers' comp, pensions, workplace safety standards and regulations, wrongful termination laws, holiday pay. I used to work a job in retail where your birthday was a paid holiday.
Oh, man.
So you don't really see, that's the only job I've ever worked where that happened. So I was just like, okay, that's cool. You know, a lot of stuff that we take for granted are because of unions. And now union membership is going down so much because you have big business who are doing their best to, you know, to take power away from unions so they could do whatever they want to. Because that's how people like, you know, the Waltons make money.
Right.
You know, it's not uncommon to have a job that only works you just enough hours so that you don't get benefits. You know, I worked a job where I was salaried, and they changed us to hourly because, yeah, we made more money hourly because we get overtime, but they didn't have to pay us any benefits. So it's, when you have a union at your back, you have those protections. Because without those protections, they'll go ahead and take advantage of it. So, to you, Blue, I mean, what does Labor Day mean to you? You know?
Well, I mean, in the past, it was like, in the past, I might have been like, oh, okay, we got a 3-day weekend, time to go to the beach for the last beach hoorah before, you know, before fall hits and it gets too cool to be out there like that. Because, you know, in the past, I've only lived in cities that had beaches. This is the first area I lived in that didn't have a beach. Didn't really have no real, in my heart, didn't really have no real significance about the sacrifices and, you know, the attributes of it. It was just a paid holiday that 9 times out of 10, It was half of it was spent readying for the other 4 days of the week. I wish we lived in a country, I think Germany is something like this. I think they work like 4 days and have 3-day weekends like all the time. You know what I'm saying?
If not Germany, then definitely France.
Right.
Hey, what's up?
I was able to join you guys. So yeah, I'll be down for that. I'll take a 4-day work week.
Right. I work 10 hours for a 3-day. It ain't nothing to me because if you think about it, if everybody else is working 8, I mean, damn, if I'm in Raleigh and I'm coming down to Durham, that's a 40. I mean, look on 40. That means I'm gonna be in traffic for an hour anyway. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. If I'm in Durham and I have to go to Raleigh like that, 10 hours, 2 more hours of working ain't really gonna make me any difference because honestly, I'm documenting after hours anyway what I did earlier in the day.
Now here's the thing: if I'm right, in those countries, they're not making you work those extra 2 hours a day. Mm-hmm. You're just basically still working 8 hours a day, but you're only working 4 days a week because they crunched the numbers and they just found out in that time how much time is actually wasted doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, we're talking about like office environments and stuff like that. Like construction, you're out there working from the time you get in there. I mean, unless you're doing road work and there's no cars coming, you're actually doing something. But if you're in the office,
had a manager.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was thinking more in terms of what about entire summers off. I had a manager who worked in Denmark lives and works in Denmark, and she basically was like, oh, yeah, like, I'm going to be out of the office for 2 weeks because the country shuts down in observance of this festival. Like, it just...
I guess it's just the
like, yeah, I'll take those. And living in European countries where, you know, you basically get the summer off, even if you're not a teacher. Hell yeah, I'll take that.
And I guess it just matters on your economy and the practicality of it. You know, I mean, here in the United States, it wouldn't be practical, you know, because of our economy. But in other countries who have a different economy, a different way of doing things, that might actually be practical. Yeah. I mean, you figure it like this, Blue. I'm not saying feel guilty because you take time off. I mean, you know, to hang out with your family, because that's pretty much what the day is for.
Mm-hmm.
The day is for a day where workers can just relax and not have to worry about, you know, to celebrate workers, but also, relax, spend time with your family. You know, some people work. My dad used to work 6 days a week, you know. At least you have that day you can count on to spend time with your family. So if you want to go visit somebody over the week or go to the beach or go to Philadelphia or what have you, to just do that. But I think the thing is, because of when it is, people just equate it with summertime as opposed to, remembering the sacrifices that were made to have that type of stuff. Because people died for that. It's not like, we just wrote a bill and it passed. People died for those protections. So, but I mean, for me, I'm just going to relax on Labor Day. I'm not probably, if there's a barbecue, I might show up.
Mm-hmm.
You know. If I'm hungry enough and no one's delivering. So we'll see what happens, but
there you go. Oh, tell us about what's going on down there in Philadelphia.
Well, I'm on the road still, so I can't tell you
my bad.
What's going on there yet, but I do know that the doors open at noon. But we probably won't get to the city till at least 2 or 2:30. Currently in Virginia, and I've passed no less than 5 state troopers.
There you go. They're trying to get you out, Blackies.
Yeah, they're trying to get folks. Not me, not today. So so far so good. The rain kind of sucks. It's just enough rain to annoy you and mess up your visibility, but not like a mist. Initially, it was kind of like misting outside, but it's just rainy now.
That's good. Be safe out there.
Yeah. So.
Be safe out there. All right, then it's my 360 degrees perspective. Hurricane Harvey. Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
I pray for the people in Houston and the surrounding counties, as that is has been a really devastating storm which has impacted them. A few points. These are quick blurbs. Kevin Hart put out a Instagram challenging other celebrities to donate, and that seemed to bring greater awareness to the plight of that going on in Houston. I thought the money was a little low considering that these are multi-millionaires, but some people like Beyonce and Chris Brown and people like I can't think who else right off the top, Odie would know, raised the bar and contributed significantly more money, if they're really going to contribute it to it, because Trump said he would contribute $1 million of his own money, but we know how infamous he is for reneging.
Yep.
Exactly. That's I actually was talking about that just yesterday, and how the comments, people were going back and forth between there were people who support him and then people who are against him. And I'm just like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this fool said he will pledge. He has not donated anything, and we know that he breaks promises all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was waiting. I was like, it's going to be nice to see when he don't give up that money. But even if he does, it's not out of his pocket. I'm sure. To Mercy's point, I saw your social media post yesterday. Mm-hmm. It's definitely going to cost us. But, yeah, thanks for the donation in my name. I mean, in your name, rather.
I mean, put it like this. People are still waiting for Trump's donations for Hurricane Sandy. So he promised Hurricane Sandy relief money, out of his own pocket and never delivered. So anybody who's holding their breath for this money, you're gonna turn blue and hit your head on the coffee table, because you're not getting that money. And then to make it worse, he only donated $1 million. The owner of the Houston Rockets donated $10 million. And Trump's supposed to be worth like billions of dollars. He only donated $1 million. Like, you cheap bastard. You're supposed to be a billionaire. I mean, you don't have to donate $1 billion. I'm just saying, if you're like, high society, big money guy, $1 million is nothing.
It's a drop. It's less than what you pay in taxes on your billions. You know what I'm saying? So. Mm-hmm. It's shoot. At the rate he's going on vacations, it's 2 vacation days and via service of the CIA, not CIA, the FBI. Some bullshit, man. We live in some bullshit ass times, bruh.
and usually when you live in bullshit ass times, it gets exposed. But his fans are just supporting it. That's the problem. And making excuses for it.
Maybe his fans are so ignorant; they just don't understand the impact. I don't understand. In my mind, I just can't wrap my head. But like you were saying last week on politics, you were saying that they're so steadfast in the sand. I'm actually paraphrasing significantly. That they no matter how wrong it is, they're going to abide by their Republican or Democratic stance. You know what I'm saying? Even at the detriment to their own selves, and it's really disturbing. But honestly, I saw the same mentality when I was in gang activities in my youth, that no matter how wrong we knew we were doing or how bad it looked, or damn, we just did this to these kids and they had nothing to do with it just because we were trying to get people. Eventually you mature out of it. Luckily, it took the death of my brother for me to mature out of it. Hopefully such tragedies doesn't happen. But these are older people. But my mama always said that them old people are so damn stubborn. Like, they won't give up their stance. And if you don't know, you don't know, brother. Yeah. You know very well who you are. You know the song.
Oh my gosh.
But for real, though, we know very well who they are, and it's a very, very... Honestly, man, I think I'm in the Matrix, and I just need to get unplugged for a minute, because this is I really feel the Matrix is probably more relevant. If they redid it, we would probably be like, oh, no, don't do it. But honestly, it would make more sense to do it now. I wish it never happened then, and I wish it would happen now, because it honestly feels like this is the attributes associated with the true Matrix.
Right. And when you have people who just have that tunnel, you know, all they listen to is Fox News, and if Fox News tells you we're the only real media, everyone else is lying. So no matter how ridiculous what Fox News says, people are brainwashed and thinking, well, that's the truth because it's Fox News.
Well, you know what? I can't even be mad at that because when I was a youth, 15, 16, 17, Rap-A-Lot Records, Ruthless Records, I don't think Interscope was around yet. Priority Records, that was Ice Cube's.
They were the realists.
It's like, but it was like, okay, I didn't really get into games until I was like maybe 15, but wasn't really fully into it, you know what I'm saying? But it was like those soundtracks, those CDs, those tapes, you know, a lot of times it was tapes, but sometimes it was CDs, you know what I'm saying? They embedded in us the mentality that, honestly, why would somebody from Charleston, South Carolina have an LA mentality? Why would somebody from Charleston, South Carolina do what LA people do? And it's just, that's what it was. It made us like that. So just like you're saying, so the constant media embedment of these verbiage from Fox News becomes their mantra, becomes the thing that they align themselves with. If the CEO or the owner or whatever of Fox had an epiphany or a stroke, or he saw a vision and he changed his whole thing and he changed the whole rhetoric of how Fox News did it, I bet you over time, 3 to 5, maybe 5 to 10, that they, the listeners, the watchers, will culturally change. But right now, they're totally influenced by what they see and hear. See, remember, when I was a youth, it was what I heard and sometimes what I saw. But what they are doing, they get in the audio and the video, and it is more mesmerizing and more and causing more of an impact on their mentality in regards to their thinking process. These are not their own thoughts. These are the thoughts of the Matrix.
Yeah, you're right about that.
You know, to steal a line from Dennis Miller, if your grandfather talked like the dudes on Fox News, or like a Alex Jones, or like a Rush Limbaugh, you'd smile and nod and be like, yeah, Granddad, yeah. And then you'd all go in the next room and be like, the fuck are we going to do about Grandpa? I think we've got to put him in a home.
Right.
You know? But like you said, it's the Fox News thing that gives them that prestige, because back in my day, it would just be some dude standing on a soapbox on a corner in the street talking, and you'd just be like, what's this dude talking about? But now if you're behind a desk at Fox News with the shiny graphics in the background,
there you go.
You know, but it's not just about that. It's about fitting someone else's narrative. There are still people who believe that Obama wasn't born in this country. And then when he produced his birth certificate, they said, you know what? He's a master forger. So they're going to believe what they want to believe, you know. But now they finally have a network that, because, I mean, the news was just the news. So Walter Cronkite told you the news, and then you could either take it or leave it. But it was what it was. Now you have a whole news organization or news organizations that just fit your narrative, you know. So it's just, you know, it's just crazy.
It is crazy, but these are crazy times, and we have to take our medicine. And our medicine is Politics with Mercer Prescott and his band of eclectic cronies. For real, though, real talk. Real talk.
Right.
I was at a meeting a couple days ago, actually, and it was about mental health. Excuse the off topic, but I'm gonna tie it in a little bit. And she was saying, you know, like if you have a mental health issue and a mental health illness, you have to take your medicine, whatever you take, but that the therapy is also considered, in a way, if you think about it, you know, your contacts, your sessions is considered medicinal as well, as that's an attribute in order to contribute to their wellness. So you have to make sure that you're getting their therapy as well as their psychiatry or their psychiatry medications as well. And in a way, it made sense because it's all about the holisticness of the wellness.
Exactly.
I say that to say it is. I forgot what I was saying. Shit, fuck it. But I say that to say this is just like we're not well as a country because we're only getting, in many ways, I mean, let's be honest. I haven't seen y'all. I seen Odie last, and that was months ago.
Right.
I haven't seen you, Merk, in well over a year. Haven't seen Rico in over a year. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I know we all have our circles and our people who we connect with, but if we really zoom out, somebody was saying this the other day when the internet went out. Wow, I think it was Charles. It was like something was going on. Oh, the net neutrality thing, and he was like, oh, I guess we got to start doing more activities or playing outside or whatever. And that's true though, because if I think about it, when I'm working. When I get off work, I'm home. I haven't been to a gym in a minute. I haven't been to no poetry events in a minute, and I was recognized as one of the high tier poets at the time. I have a movie pass, which I was paying $30 for, but supposedly it's supposed to be $10 now. Get on that, Merk. If you're seeing at least 1 or 2 movies a month, you're already paying for it. This allows you to watch one movie a day, and you're paying $10 a month. That's Movie Pass, MoviePass.com. Hey,
nice.
I promise you, I know here at South Point, we pay more than $10. So that one monthly fee, which allows me to watch one movie every day for 30 to 31 days, depending on the month, it pays for itself with one movie outing. At one point, it was $30. They reduced the price. I'm going to really get on it now because I just don't think they could sustain themselves at $10. But we'll find out. But that's MoviePass.com, and that's that commercial for the day. Okay. Just not doing the same things I was doing, and I noticed that my wellness as a whole is deteriorating because I'm not as social. I'm not as engaged with other people. I'm in a very small bubble that's not necessarily feeding me holistically, if that makes any sense. And I find a lot of people find themselves in these ways. These people that have these ultra right-wing mentalities. Same thing, work, go home, watch news, get brain fucked, go to bed, and do it all over again. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You know, it's absolutely, it's a great point because, I mean, you know, I'm not going to lie, I've been out of the dating scene for a long time. Mm-hmm. And now it's just like, you know, and don't get me wrong, there was a girl at the supermarket this morning. We were just chatting, you know, and I
told you.
we wasn't chatting like that, but you know, she was kind of cute, and we would she took my lottery tickets. Okay. And you know, she was making conversation that somebody in some part of North Carolina she never heard of before won the Cash 5, which is what I play.
Okay.
You know, like for $120,000, and then we would just talk about. I mean, it just kind of came easy for me to jump in that conversation. You know.
Good stuff.
But there are some times where I want to jump into conversations and like I feel kind of awkward. Like I saw Hunger Games. I went by myself to go see Hunger Games because after working retail and working when everyone else was at school, I just learned to do things by myself. Oh, I'll go to a restaurant by myself. I'll go to movies by myself.
Exactly.
And there were a couple of girls.
To that myself.
Yeah. But there were a couple of you know, women talking about between the movie and the book, and I'd read the book. And I wanted to jump in that conversation so bad, but I just felt like I know I'm going to say something, and they're going to diss me, and I'm going to get mad. so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. But, you know, it's when you're not in those social circles, it used to be very easy for me to just jump into conversations, especially if you're on the same wavelength. But now I don't really feel like I'm on most people's wavelength.
Right. So I connected. Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I've always been an introvert anyway. You're like, oh, Felipe, an introvert? No way. But honestly, I'm an introvert with some extroverted features. So I find myself in the same predicament. It might be a little small group talking, having a good old time. They might look at me and make eye contact, which might be the cue to invite me over to engage. But I just can't do it. It's just like I'm disconnected in that way, and I need to reconnect. I was telling somebody the other day, I need to lose a little bit of weight. My stamina is not where it needs to be. I want to get back into basketball. I want to start running. I saw somebody on the bike trail, the American Tobacco bike trail, the other day. I was like, damn, I left my bike at work. You know, I recently stopped working at Freedom House in Person County, and I left my bike up there. I said, I really, really want to get on the trail and just bike and just zone out, just ride and have all the stress of the day and all the craziness of the world just go in the wind as I'm trucking down these trails. You know what I'm saying? I actually never rode the American Tobacco Trails, and that's something, I know it's a small thing to put on your bucket list, but that's something I want to do before the end of the year.
Shoot, I found out that there's a place around the corner from my apartment. They have open mics, and that's on my bucket list, to get booed off the stage on an open mic.
Oh, there you go.
So I just said Tuesday. They do it on Tuesdays, and I'm just like,
okay.
I'm like, I may just go, and I don't have.
Send me a kite whenever you want to do that. You know, I don't work the mobile crisis no more, so I don't work at nights like that. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to attend with you. That way you won't feel like, I'm the only one here. No, I got you. And you're helping me, 'cause I'm in the same boat. You dig what I'm saying? Carry right up the street. I want to say you're 15 miles up, but yeah.
It's a detriment not driving, and that also helps with the not connecting, because I always said if I drove a car, I would do more charity. Because I have nothing but time. I mean, I'm not dating. I don't have any kids. I have nothing but time. So I would love to just say, you know what? At my job, they have this fair every year where they have all these different charities that we can actually help out. And every year I used to walk out with like 5 or 6 things I was interested in. I'm like, oh, it's in Durham? How am I supposed to get to Durham?
Right.
Because I don't drive a car. You know, or
Uber,
somewhere out.
Not Uber, Lyft, Lyft. Lyft is the best travel app utilizing people's personal cars to take you where you want to go. And it's greatly reduced price over taxis. That's Lyft, Lyft. Download the app on Google Play or iTunes Store now.
I kind of bounce back and forth between the two of them, because I
me too, depending on who has the best deal. And depending on who's spiking at what time, because sometimes they don't spike at the same time. But those spikes will get you, boy. Oh, I hate Uber, because they have the crazy spikes.
I don't know if it was Uber or Lyft that got in trouble for spiking at like a time where people really needed to get around. I'd have to
Uber.
Was it Uber?
It was Uber. Yeah, that's why like a lot of people had uninstalled the app at that time, and basically like, you know what? Negative. Yep. And started using Lyft. I was one of those people, but then I had to reinstall it right before I went to Trinidad, because that's all they had in Trinidad was Uber.
So it's important to reconnect with just the outside world, and even if you get shot down, do it anyway. You know, you never know what'll happen. So, but Odie, did you have anything?
No, I didn't really have anything. I just came to contribute on you guys' coattails, and you know, ride your coattails today. Just because, I'm driving, so I can't even look anything up.
Well, Blue, did you have anything else before I jump into the next thing?
Real quick, I guess not. But real quick, I thought about you the other day because I got passes. I got an email to get passes for the It movie, but I didn't access them quick enough. So they were gone. I joined the wait list though, but I mean, obviously, if I get those, I know.
The funny thing about the wait list, you know, people never ever go and be like, "Oh, I'm not going."
No.
I mean, do you know how many movies I missed?
Exactly. Nobody ever releases them.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm guilty. I've been guilty of that too. I try to remember, but I usually don't remember.
Yeah, I try to remember too, but half the time, I think I'll be more mindful of it now. But the beautiful thing about having a different job, doing a different thing, is that I now have that there's really nothing holding me back from actually participating in those anymore. As in the past, it was always a crisis. So I had to report to the hospital to do an assessment. It just threw me off. But now, boy, it's almost like Merck said, all this free time. You know what I'm saying? It ain't all that free though, but still got other things I got to do. But freer than I've been in the last the 8 years. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Right.
No.
Don't forget, April 7th, The Color Purple will be appearing at the D-PAC in Durham. Go to Ticketmasters.com to get your tickets now. And that's The Color Purple on April 7th in Durham. I know people like,
who's going to be playing silly?
2018, what?
I mean, we're literally 3 months away.
Hey, sometimes you got to plan early.
Oh, I'm sorry. It goes on sale September 16th at 10 a.m.
Who's playing silly, though?
I don't know. It's touring, so it's likely to change every time or a few times. You know, like sometimes if you're on the West Coast, they might use a different actor depending on scheduling.
Yeah, but there was that time, like, Fantasia was, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was the Fantasia stage. And then, like, Deborah Cox did The Bodyguard.
Oh, man.
So, like,
I heard she was good, yeah.
She was good.
She can really sing. I mean,
I love Deborah Cox.
I love her, too. You know, she's from Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of her appeal.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I hate to play such a grim game, you know, a game of something so grim, but, you know, I always do this thing. It's like I give you 3 scenarios and you tell me which one is the worst, right? There were 3 scenarios of cops going absolutely insane, right? And luckily nobody was...
More insane than usual?
Less insane than usual because nobody was killed, but it was just cops just going out and out crazy. So I'm going to give you 3 quick scenarios, and you tell me which one you think is the worst. So number 1, you had, and this was taken from a motorcycle camera, right? A guy had a helmet in his motorcycle. So the video starts, he's waiting at a red light, right? And all of a sudden, a guy just comes up with a gun and starts yelling at him about how fast he was going. And you just see the guy at the car, and all of a sudden at his motorcycle, he turns like, oh shit, there's a guy standing there with a gun. And it was a plainclothes detective. And he was yelling at him about how fast he was going. And the scary part for the guy is that his motorcycle is on and he's wearing his helmet and he's wearing motorcycle gloves, so he can't reach into his pocket and get his ID. So the cop's asking for his ID, and he's trying to ask the cop, hey, listen, can I turn off my bike and take off my helmet because I can't hear what you're saying? You know, and the guy didn't identify himself as a detective until like 30-40 seconds into the conversation, right? So obviously the guy was maybe going a little bit too fast, or I guess, and then the cop didn't like that, so when he's at the red light, he gets out of his car and just runs up on the guy with a gun. So he didn't just walk up to him with his badge and say, hey, listen, I'm a detective, you're going too fast. He had his gun out from the start.
Just to clarify, is this any different from... This is a different scenario from the one a while back where the guy rammed the guy on the motorcycle. The cop rammed the man on the motorcycle.
It's a different scenario, but this one just happened a few days ago. And
got it.
Now that cop is on paid leave right now, right? While they investigate. Then you had another case where a woman gets pulled over by a cop, right? Suspected DUI. The woman, who's white, it's important to the story, is very nervous. And she tells the cop, hey, listen, I guess the cop asked for her ID card, and it was on her phone. You know, a lot of insurance companies now, you can download your ID cards to your phone, your vehicle. So the cop was like, yeah, your phone's right there next to you. You can just go ahead and reach for it. And she was like, I don't want to reach for it because I don't want to, like she, didn't want to make any sudden moves. And, because she's watched too many videos of people getting shot for making sudden moves. You know what the cop told her? Oh no, you don't got to worry about it. We only shoot black people. So you don't have
you seen the videos? We only kill black people. I was like, this can't be real. This has to be an audio. Because I've done it before. I've edited videos.
But that video was taken. It was taken from his dash cam. That's the worst.
I know it happened. I know, but when I first saw it, I was like, "This can't be America."
I get what you're saying because you were just like, nobody could be that stupid. Right. Just say that to somebody, And
he was like, she was supposed to be like, you're right. Here's my number, cutie. That has to be. That ain't gonna make me like you anymore. That sounds like some old sick psychopath shit, right?
Like she's gonna be like, oh, that's right, I am white. Oh, yeah. What do I have to be worried about?
Let me show a little breast, baby.
It's almost like the cop was just saying. Now when you hear the cop say it in the context, it's half sarcasm and half bitterness, because I know cops are so bitter because, he's probably mad because she thinks that, off the bat, oh, this guy's going to hurt me because he's a cop,
Right.
And he's being bitter. But you just don't say, in this day and age, you just don't say that. That cop was actually fired.
But in her perspective, what he said didn't make a lot of sense per se, because remember that Minnesota girl was killed by a cop as well, and she probably identified more with her anyway.
Right. That's probably who was at the forefront of her mind. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the last one, this one I just saw yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
There was a car crash, right? In the car crash, two-car accident. The guy who caused the accident died. The victim of the car crash, the guy near the car, was in the hospital. Right? He's unconscious.
This story already about to piss me off.
He's unconscious, right? So a cop shows up and wants to draw his blood. And the nurse was like, no, you can't do that because, number one, because there's rules between the hospital and the cops. So, number one, he's unconscious. He can't consent. Number two, he's not under arrest. And number three, you don't have a warrant. So when the video picks up, the girl is on the phone with her supervisor. And her supervisor's letting the cop know, you can't draw his blood. Right? But the cop is getting angry at the girl, and the supervisor's on the phone. He's like, why are you getting angry at the messenger? And he's like, because she's the one telling me no. So when she wouldn't let him do it, or when she wouldn't do it for him, he gets mad and he arrests her. So he literally just grabs her and just drags her out of the police station and forcibly handcuffs her and puts her in the police car.
What kills me about this story and this situation is, even if she had drawn the blood and this man proved to be the cause of the accident because he was under the influence, it is not admissible. You're not going to be able to use it in court. If you were smart enough to have, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You don't have to have a Juris Doctorate to know that. All you need to watch is Law and Order. That's it. Like, everybody who watches Law and Order knows, like, what admissible and okay evidence is and what's inadmissible. That is inadmissible. So get the fuck out of here with that. Like, even if you manage to obtain it through your ill-gotten means, it wouldn't mean shit.
Right.
And that's why he's the jackass of them all in this situation. Like, yeah. Because you were strong and wrong.
And I wanted to say it was the guy on the guy who pulled the gun on the motorcyclist. Just because, I mean, he scared the shit out of him. And I'd be terrified, too. Luckily, it was broad daylight. But I do think that the cop at the hospital was the worst because the law was explained to him in black and white. And they were like, look, this is an agreement. And she showed him the paper. He faxed it over to him. Like, this is the agreement between the police department and us. That unless you meet one of those three requirements, because now he had to meet all three. He's had to meet one. So if you have any one of these requirements, unless you have, we can't draw his blood. And the thing is, they've already established that the guy in the hospital was the victim of the accident, and the guy who caused the accident is dead. You know, this guy, it's not like he just has a concussion. You know, he had burns on his body. He was in serious condition. So why they want to draw his blood, I have no idea.
I think that's like my initial thought was like, well, maybe this guy was the cause of the accident, but you're saying now that that's not the case. So the only other thing I think of is this person might have had like the right blood type for something he needs or someone he loves needs. That's the only thing I think of. Like somebody needs some sort of like blood transfusion. He's like, draw their blood and see if they're compatible, you know. And then when she wouldn't do it, he got really pissed. Maybe I don't know, maybe it was a black guy and, you know, black people usually have like O or some shit. I don't know that to be true, but you get what I'm saying? Like, I don't, the fuck.
But it's kind of like, but it's like, why would he do that? Like, why? And then put himself out there. Now, the thing is, he hasn't been officially reprimanded, that cop, but it's that he's no longer part of that program anymore. So they're not letting him go to hospitals and talk to nurses anymore. But he's still on active duty, so he's still out in the street.
But see, that's the problem. Like, just putting someone who is incompetent in a different environment for them to be incompetent in that one instead is not the solution. Like, you got to teach these people what's up. Like, no, this is not how you do that. Now, do I think he should lose his job? Probably not. But I think some sort of suspension and mandatory training is in order.
Yeah, they call it.
Because he's definitely going to try to flex somewhere else. He's going to try to flex with the wrong information somewhere else. And maybe it will escalate next time, but that's why he's supposed to do more than what the fuck they're trying to do right now.
Well, figure it like this. The cop who shot Tamir Rice, he was fired from another police department, and that police department was like, he's not fit to hold the badge. Because he's not officer material. And he somehow ended up in another police department where he kills a kid. You know? So they just don't train these cops right. And I know we go over this every week, but every week they keep giving us more. I would love to have a week where I don't have to talk about cops. I would love it, because there's so many other things to talk about, but when you see that cop pull a gun on an unarmed civilian or drag a nurse out of the hospital when the rules were printed in front of him, they said she spoke to like 10 different supervisors, and I thought they were exaggerating. No, she spoke to like 10 different people about what to do about that, and that's why that's why they sent that stuff. They were like, yeah, no, here's the rules. The rules are he can go fuck himself because he doesn't have a warrant. Okay, they didn't say it like that, but you know what I mean.
Right.
So it's absolutely insane. But I would pick the cop arresting the nurse, and that poor woman was so upset. And I feel for her coworkers, because her coworkers looked like they wanted to get involved, but they didn't want to get shot. Because they already know, okay, this guy's agitated, and I would love to just be like, hey, take the handcuffs off. But then it's like Jimmy Dore said, paraphrasing Jimmy Dore, not all cops are psychopaths, but psychopaths love to apply to be cops. So, and you don't want to give a psychopath a reason to shoot you.
It's all about staying alive.
Exactly. Blue, what are your thoughts on this?
I think a lot of, people are people. There's a psychopath in every
profession.
I mean, Walmart has psychopaths.
True.
Target has psychopaths. Hospitals, nurses, doctors. Oh my gosh, if you only seen what I've seen in this lifetime. And just that is one, because they don't have such a high requirement for education or experience, and then attracts a certain mentality, has a test that anybody can pass, as far as being able to get you into ranks. Seemed like they would really look at that test and try to revamp it, get with like the American Psychology Association to revamp it, because
and basically try to figure out
that are really dangerous. I mean, I remember one time I was no, that was a bodyguard. Never mind. All right, so it's just a lot of cops. I've never personally had any negative interactions with a police officer, and I'm thankful for that. Like I said before, I present very respectfully. I make sure my hands are very well seen. I don't speak fast. I get rid of all the Connecticut, New York accent, and I.
So basically, you do like Lawrence when he got pulled over.
Right. Well, no, he was more bitch made. I still keep it thorough. You know what I'm saying? Gutter.
So you still keep Mobb Deep on when the cop pulls you over. You don't switch to.
But the thing is, I don't listen to rap in the car. I listen to Blog Talk Radio. I listen to Politics with Mercer Prescott and his band of eclectic cronies. I love listening to podcasts. So I don't listen to stuff like that. I used to listen to stuff like that, and still, of course I would turn it right down. And I would sometimes I would get the registration and the insurance out. Sometimes I'll just wait. It all depends on how fast he run up on me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you're right, Merc. There's a lot. I mean, we say a lot, but come on, no. This is a big country, 50 states. We may hear about 400 African American males die per year. That number equals about 0.8 8% of what all interactions cops have with citizens.
Right.
And I'm not saying that's low, but I can't say that, oh my gosh, it's incredible. It's not that incredible, you know what I'm saying? I lived in Chicago for 3 months at one time. And in that 3 months I was in Chicago, 142 people were killed. 142 people in 3 months. Not by cops, by each other.
Right.
That's all I got to say about that.
But you figure it like this. It may seem like a small part of our population, but compared to other countries, and we're talking about other developed nations who have better policing methods, it's horribly high. Because you figure just in gun deaths alone, you know, England has very low gun deaths because
they don't have guns. Most citizens can't have guns there.
Well, most citizens can't have guns, and most police don't have guns. Only specialists have guns. So if there's like a terrorist situation, yeah, they'll bring out the cops with their handguns, but most cops on the street don't have guns. And then they could do that because most of the citizens don't have guns. You know?
That's because they're not on the border of Mexico where it sneaks into the country on a daily basis. Watch out.
Actually, I will say this. You know, our drug problem, I think, is fueled a lot by Mexico, because when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, no one had cocaine. Cocaine was just that stuff that Richard Pryor was doing on TV. Nobody was doing that, you know, in the neighborhoods. But when it comes to guns, that's us. A lot of their guns that they get come from us because our gun laws are so lax. Like, we don't require gun owners to keep books anymore. Because every year, it seems that Republicans were putting in poison pills to take away the powers of the ATF. So there's no way to enforce that. That's why that Fast and Furious program that didn't work out so well, they were just trying to track where, like, how are they getting all these damn guns? If you go to border towns, there's more gun shops than churches. You know? So, yeah, our drug problem is fueled by them, but their gun problem definitely fueled by us. Like, there is no doubt about that. So if these cartels are getting these heavy military weapons, they're getting them from us. So it's just kind of like that symbiotic, you know, circle of death over there. But it's just, you know, like I said before, until we change the system, nothing else is going to change. Because the good cops can't speak out. And it's funny, in that video with the nurse, you saw another cop, like, kind of putting his hand on that cop's shoulders as if to say, yeah, we don't got to go through all this. We don't got to do all this. You know, but you could tell he was a lot younger than the other cop. And he was probably thinking, okay, if I go against this cop, you know, I'm going to end up, you know, working shit assignments. No one else is going to like me.
Right. Reprimand.
Because the system supports bad cops. It's one union I don't like. That's a union that supports bad workers all the time.
Have you ever seen that IQ movie about was it called the Glass Shield, the Blue Shield, or?
Yes.
I've never seen it, but I've heard of it.
Check that.
Good.
Yeah, see if you
it's
can
great.
That, Merc. It's actually a great movie about that same perspective.
Yep.
When I saw what was it, American Gangster, Russell Crowe's character, when he returned that money that they got back, that just made the other cops hate him, because they were like, okay, well, this was extra money that we weren't supposed to, you know, wasn't on the books. It's our money.
Wasn't on the books, exactly. We
and he returned the money. It was like,
and what's the drug dealer gonna say? And what's the drug dealer gonna say? I had $8 million, not $4 million.
Yeah. But returning that money made him a pariah with the other cops. That's some old Frank Serpico shit. You know, being the one honest cop in a corrupt system. So, until they change the system, I mean, yeah, there are good cops out there, but they have no voice. But that's all I had on that, unless you guys had something else to add.
Nah, that's the truth. Damn, that's the truth. I wrote a song about it. I want to hear.
Thanks.
So you're going to be seeing Cardi B tonight. Is that right, Odie?
I can't remember if she's today or tomorrow, but I think she is today, though, at like 5 o'clock. Yeah, definitely be out.
One of my friends on Facebook
like a good show, but I must admit, 80% of the people I do not know.
One of my friends was on Facebook, like, if I hear that stupid Cardi B song one more time, and I was like, God, I'm glad Odie's not seeing that.
The crazy thing is she ain't making no bank off that show unless it's live performance, because that's somebody else's beat. That's Kodak Black's beat. So she can't license the song.
It probably. I mean, I know you said it was like a mixtape song,
track. Right.
I mean, sampling is horrible because you figure real quick. Kevin Federline, the song from Mobb Deep, right? Mm-hmm. And figuring nobody would notice because I guess he figured no one listens to Mobb Deep. Right. But the song originally took a sample from Thomas Dolby's "She Blinded Me with Science."
Okay.
So basically, Mobb Deep didn't have the. I'm not gonna say they didn't have the right to sue, but it was Thomas Dolby who sued and not Mobb Deep, because basically, because they used that sample, it's like it was up to him to sue, and he did, because he was like, I didn't give it to Kevin Federline, I gave it to Mobb Deep, so he can't take that song.
Right.
You know, that whole sampling thing, the ownership thing is deep. So yeah, it all depends on the deal. I mean, wait, no, she's not dating Kodak Black. Isn't that what's her name? Who's dating Kodak Black right now?
Shit, I can't keep up with it, man. One of those famous like that. It's like an Instagram model or something.
One of those video vixens. What was it? Right. Was it Amber Rose?
Nah, Amber Rose is dating 21 Savage.
Oh yeah, the Serpent and the Rainbow guy with the cross on his head.
Aye, exactly. Great call, Merc. That's exactly what it is. What the fuck is wrong with this dude?
I don't know, but
he can't come down to Charleston with that. He'll get got. We don't play that shit. We just don't ever. Savage do not come to Charleston.
We don't play that voodoo horse shit out here.
Nah, because you got to think a lot of us come from either African roots or Haitian roots, so
right.
That's just not something we're going to tolerate, you know what I'm saying? That shit is sacrilegious, man. That's just certain things you do. We kill people all the time, but there's certain shit you don't do, brother, and that's one of them. Right. You don't play with the Lord like that. You don't play with the cross like that. Yeah.
And speaking of playing with the Lord, one thing real quick, because I know we're almost out of time. You mentioned the flood earlier. Mm-hmm. The whole thing with Joel Osteen.
Yeah, I forgot. I meant to get to that, and we got sidetracked like we always do.
But I mean, you figure somebody like Joel Osteen, who puts the prosperity in Prosperity Preacher. You know, his stadium where his church is. I didn't know this. That's the old stadium where the Houston Rockets used to play.
Correct. I knew
so
that.
You know it holds at least 10,000 people.
18, something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's not about the fact of, you know, it's inaccessible. Somebody actually, and that's what got them busted, because somebody actually went there, because they were saying, well, there's flooding around the area, can't make it here, and somebody actually made it there, mm-hmm. and just had their camera and showed them, like, yeah, there's no flooding here.
That's right. Look like a regular rainy day in Raleigh, right?
Yeah. You know, I mean, we have
later, he opened his doors. Now, you know, to speak to why he might have not did it, he shouldn't have lied about it, one, or whoever lied about it shouldn't have lied about it.
Right.
But Katrina, when those people went down to that stadium, it was destroyed. So, I mean, maybe he didn't want the building to be destroyed in such a way, because that many people, especially people from multiple backgrounds, mainly from lower income, mm-hmm. It does have a tendency to have things messed up or destroyed or hurt.
Right.
And maybe he didn't think his building would be able to sustain that type of damage. If nothing else, he should have at least taken something out that $50 million bank. And if you can't help the people, why you shouldn't deem yourself a nonprofit? What is the point of your profits? You know what I'm saying?
You know,
and that's what I don't like about churches, how they can just automatically be deemed nonprofits. We got the Joel Osteen worth $50 million. We got the Creflo Dollar worth a couple $100 million, or whatever he's worth. Got a damn podium made of $100 bills. Come on, man. What is wrong with this time period? The Matrix is glitched. Merc, you gotta find us a person that can fix the IT part or virus part to fix it, because this ain't what the world is supposed to be like at 2017. We're supposed to be having flying skateboards. We're supposed to be having DeLoreans that can fly, that use waste from our trash cans. But to have Nikes that you pull a strap and it laces itself. Clothes that we put on that are too baggy, and we push a button and it custom fits. Man, I love Back to the Future. That was a great movie series.
Put it like this, right? If you have a lot of churches, much smaller churches. There was a story that they had in when Obamacare was first implemented, and there was a church who closed down. They had a free clinic, and they closed down the free clinic. And Republicans tried to use it like, oh, see, Obamacare is hurting these small churches. But the thing is, that church set up that free clinic so that they could help people who didn't have insurance. Then you had Obamacare, and now they were like, well, now all our patients who come in have insurance now.
Right.
So they
can go to regular things. We were here to serve a need that needs to be met, that no longer needs to be met because of this great insurance plan implemented by the Obama administration. And that, you told me about that before.
But the thing is, if they open their books, they will show you, all our profit goes into running this free clinic, or all our profit goes into running this daycare for single mothers so they can have a safe place for their kids while they go to work, so on and so forth. With somebody like Joel Osteen, he gets an F, and that's from people who rate these charities. He gets an F. You know why? Because he won't open his books. So no one knows where all that money's. Well, I know.
I can't even be mad at him. He has videos he sells. He has books that he sells. All that money don't come from tithing. So you can't really be mad at him in that way.
Put it like this: when he got robbed, like their church got robbed, and they found out, like they got robbed for like a couple $100,000. They found out that was just 1 week's take, and that was just cash. That wasn't credit cards and checks. That was just cash. So
how the hell did they get robbed? I'm confused.
Oh no, they had the money in a safe in the church, and they came in and they broke into the safe and took it.
It was an inside job. I got you.
But it was over $100,000, and that was just what they make in a week, and that's just from church donations, from people who come into the church and give money. And like I said, that was just cash, not including checks and credit cards.
So $100,000 a week, 52 weeks. What's that? Let me do the math real quick. Where my calculator at?
And that's not including, like you said, from his tapes and books and videos and stuff like that. But still,
$5,200,000. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's just cash for if he had that. If that's what it was every week. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure certain months get more money. I know the winter months get more money. You know what I'm
saying? I heard a rumor. I didn't fact check it, but supposedly he had a sermon recently, and they said he passed out the collection plate.
He what?
And I was like, he passed out the collection plate. And I'm like, that can't be true. There's no, because most of the people in there were people who were affected by the storm.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that can't be true. Like I'll have to fact check that. But when he was actually taking donations. And I'm like, you have people who are giving money. Like I said, Houston Rockets owner gave $10 million,
Right.
Or you have people who don't have millions, like J.J. Watt from Houston Texans, who raised $15 million. But you figured Joel Osteen, he already has millions of dollars. So even if he just said, I pledge $1 million.
So when people raise this money, I don't know, this might sound really ignorant. Like, how's it distributed? How's it distributed?
Well, that's what J.J. Watt was doing. He plays for the Houston Texans, one of the best defenders out there. Okay. And he was saying that he didn't want to just give the money to a company because he doesn't know where that money's going to go after that. So he So he was out there getting all the stuff together to hand out to people himself.
Oh, like water and food and clothes.
Because he didn't want to give the money and then find out, oh, they're going to give it to these oil refineries or these chemical companies that keep blowing up down there because of all the flood water.
Right.
And I was just like, because he said, if I'm taking these people's money, I want them to know that the money that they give is good.
He sounds very responsible.
Yeah. And that's like the whole thing with Joel Osteen. Yeah, you donating all this money for the church. Where's the money going? He won't open his books. That's why people hated him. Put it like this. It's not like people just turned on Joel Osteen now. They've always hated him. And all prosperity preachers, because you're basically, I'm not a religious person, but I know a lot of my friends are. And they have their faith, and their faith is very powerful. It gets them out of bed every morning, gets them to work on time, keeps them off of drugs and alcohol, makes them better people. And if you pervert that faith to make yourself rich, you are the lowest of the low. Tell somebody like Pat Robertson, why is he still alive? This man's been a parasite for 60 years. When they say the good die young, that's true, because Pat Robertson's still alive. And I'm not wishing death on him. I mean, he's like 95 years old.
Oh, okay.
I don't have to wish death on him.
He's as good as dead. I mean, come on, dude.
But when he dies, the world will be a better place.
But is this the guy who always like the Republicans and da-da-da, and he's just yeah. I think that's the guy who's like pure evil.
That old bastard who just says shit like Haiti had an earthquake because they practiced witchcraft in the 1800s or some shit like that. You know, there are so many good churches out there who do so many good things and they get no press. Only like the Creflo Dollars and the Joel Osteens and I saw Jim Baker on TV. I'm like, I thought this motherfucker was still in prison, but he's back doing this whole evangelist thing. He was selling buckets of food, and he called it staying alive. Because when the apocalypse comes, you got to have food. And he actually had a choir singing staying alive. You know? So it's just crazy. But, I mean, any flack that Joel Osteen gets, he deserves. So I know my friends are mad at me because I post like 5 memes a day about Joel Osteen, but I've always done that. I've always posted against people like Joel Osteen because they're parasites. They're ticks, leeches, and parasites. And, you know, one of my friends is like, why are you trying to pit no, not to me, but in general, like, why are you trying to pit Christian against Christian? Mm-hmm. Like, no, I'm just trying to help you pull those leeches off of you.
There you go. There you go. Well, that's something to think about for those that's going to church tomorrow. Anyways, that concludes this episode of 360 Degrees, part of the Urban Breakdown. Stay tuned for next week's show of Politics with Mercer Prescott and his band of eclectic cronies. You can subscribe to the channel via iTunes Podcast, Google Play, or tune in via the Alexa app. And that concludes this show. Be well.
In my bank account with a payment pending, and once that go through, I probably won't have a damn penny. I'm still breathing this evening, so look, I'm still winning. I handle my business. If you don't like it, fuck your opinion. I got a 9 to 5, but I gotta get over that hump. I really can't flex, I don't get my check but twice a month. If you can drown a shark, then you can stop my hustle. I grew up on bread and water with some astronauts trying to beat the struggle. Let me do me, yeah. Let me do me, let me do me, bitch, let me do me, yeah. Let me do me, let me do me, bitch, let me do me, yeah. Let me do me, let me do me, bitch, let me do me, yeah. Let me do me, let me do me. I never learned the whip game, I never never learned how to make it lock up, how to make it rock up, how to do my thing and get my stock up. I stayed in my lane. I knew how to go get a job, but I got evil thoughts cause these bills be attacking me like the mob. On any given Sunday, you can catch me in my Hyundai. Swerving on that one way, I'ma get this money one day. I ain't about no gunplay, gotta live my life the fun way. I'm sipping on that Bombay Church's chicken, that's my entree. Let me do me, yeah. Let me do me, let me do me, bitch, let me do me, yeah. Let me do me, let me do me, bitch, let me do me, yeah. Let me do me, let me do me, bitch, let me do me, yeah. Let me do me, let me do me. I still rock whiteThese, I still listen to Juvie. You know that Training Day with Denzel is my favorite movie. I'm still with my old lady, she better not act too bougie. I still fantasize on when she tell me how she gon' do me. I still don't fuck with the hen because it made me get woozy. I really don't want no new friends because I hate to be choosy. I still hang in the bricks, I still drive an Impala. I still try to buy the food stamps, 50 cents on the dollar. Bitch, let me do me, yeah. Let me